Okay, cool. So I'm recording. We're rolling audio.
Are we rolling?
We're rolling.
Do it.
Perfect. Okay. We get our little intro here. Here we go.
Push the button. All right. Welcome to My Dad's Movie Podcast. I'm Mick Johnson. I'm the dad. And with me, as usual, is my son, Tabor Johnson.
How's it going? Good to be here.
Tonight, we have a special guest with us calling all the way in from Hawaii. He didn't fly over here to Caldwell, Idaho. He decided to stay in Hawaii for some reason, but his Dallin McKay.
Hey, nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, man.
I imagine it is nice to be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Dallin is, I got introduced to him because of my son, Nicholas Johnson, who in other podcasts we've talked about, and he's in Hawaii going to school at BYU, and he's involved in, a lot of craziness and making videos and doing stuff like that. And he got together with Dallin. I don't know, is this the first time you guys had met, is when you started making some stuff together?
So we actually met through the music program. And then I remember he'd heard some of my music and he was like a big fan of it. And then from there, shortly after that, I started creating my own stuff as far as like creating videos. And that was when we started actually like working together consistently. But before, originally it was actually music that brought us together.
So you guys were in classes together?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. So you have since graduated?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So tell us a little bit about you, a little bit of background, where you originally come from, and, kind of the direction that you've been taken, and, how did you end up getting into making videos and directing movies and stuff like that?
Yeah. So just to start off, so my full name is Dallin McKay McKinney, and then I'm known in the industry by Dallin McKay. I originally
McKay is not your last name.
No, it's my middle name.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice. But I started doing that originally because when I moved to LA, I started having a lot of friends that would have like they would get really big. And then all of their sisters or something, like their younger sister, would just have tons of DMs, like tons of messages to them, just saying like, "Hey, can you tell him this? Like, can you tell him that?"
Oh, and so it was kind of a protection type thing.
Yeah. So I started going to Dallin McKay because I was like, well, if I ever do get big, then at least my family won't have any issues. Like I'm totally fine if I have like tons of people blowing up my phone, because then I can deal with it. But if it starts to become an issue, or like my sister or something like that is like getting a lot of messages, then that becomes an issue.
Right.
But now that I'm not really pursuing the being like the main character or something, or even really pursuing like being like a big artist in any way, it's more like just creating, like now that I'm just creating and being on the other side of the camera, now I'm like, yeah, people can know who I am.
Right on.
Yeah.
So you were in LA, and then you made your way to where?
Yeah, so super quick, I guess. I was born in Washington, raised in Oregon. Junior year, I went on a foreign exchange to Mexico. And it was during that time that I really just realized that like I could actually do music, and that people really enjoyed it. And because before that, it was like something that I enjoyed personally.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to just find a moment when like I wrote a song in Spanish about Mexico, and it people loved it. They flew me out to different places in Mexico, and just last year, it had been 10 years since I'd written it. Just last year, I finally released like an actual version of it, and within the first I think month and a half, it got 100,000 views on YouTube, and then now I think it's over 200,000.
Wow,
that's crazy.
Yeah. So it's been quite the journey. The crazy thing is that I released it last year, but I recorded it like 5 years ago. And the reason why I released it last year is because I was like figuring, well, I'm done with music, so I'll just release it. I was always saving it, thinking like, oh, I got to wait until I have like enough Spanish speaking audience. And I just never felt like I had any
Right.
Spanish speaking audience. So then I was like, well, I mean, I'm having a baby. Like I'm married. I haven't thought about making music in like 6 months or maybe even more. And I was like, I'm totally fine with just like doing other stuff now.
Sure.
So I released it thinking that it was just for me to put it out there, and then all of a sudden it's like the one that has touched the most people. So
Right
that's been interesting.
So I think that with that kind of response, maybe you think you're done with music, but I don't think that that's the case.
Yeah, I guess that's true. We'll always see. Like even with the one that I did with Nick with your son was that was also a surprise. It was just like because I remember I was like getting my baby from my wife, and just before I went to see her, Nick and one of his friends had asked me about this song that I'd released about Mexico. They were like, hey, like how did you market that? Like, and I was like, honestly, I hardly put any money towards marketing. I just put it out, and then Nick was like, yeah, all you need to do, to his friend who is a Filipino, is find some white guys and write a song in Tagalog and it'll blow up. And I'm like, honestly, it probably would.
Right.
And then that was when, as I was going home, because I had released the song about Mexico on Mexican Independence Day.
Oh.
And I know that the biggest holiday in the Philippines is Christmas. So on my way home, I was like carrying my baby, and then I just started like singing this like jingle bop rhythm and song.
Right.
And then I came up with the whole rhythm for it, and I was like, yeah, let's make Tagalog lyrics. So I brought together all my friends and we made it happen.
All your friends and Nicholas.
Yeah.
Yes,
he doesn't count. He's not.
He doesn't count.
And trust us, we understand why.
Right. So yeah, we it must have been Nicholas that sent Jingle Bop to us, I'm assuming.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, somehow we ended up with it, and my wife and I watched it, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is phenomenal. I think we probably watched it about 500 times. So yeah, and then when I heard that the reason that you had made it and that it was for people in the Philippines for Christmas, because my understanding is they celebrate Christmas for like 6 months out of the year or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just some insane.
Yeah.
And and then I think I saw, not recently, but the number of people that were looking at the video, like I think after it got submitted to the Philippines, it was an insane amount of people that were watching it.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really special, especially here on campus, because there are a lot of Filipinos here on our campus, and like we really just got such a good response from all of them. And people still see my baby Milo, who is like the star of the show. They still see him around campus all the time.
Yeah. My wife loves the baby.
He's awesome.
The
most famous baby in the Philippines.
Yeah, and I'd been to the Philippines once before. I did a little tour there. Did like some I guess some activities there as well, like devotionals, firesides. And while I was there, I worked with like Viva Records, one of the biggest record labels in the Philippines. And so here on BYU Hawaii, on campus here, I've run into a lot of Filipinos that will like, I'll see by the look in their eye as they're staring at me for a oddly
Right.
amount of time.
Right.
That they recognize me.
They're trying to figure out, do I know this guy?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And they normally don't actually like come up and talk to me. They just like stare at me for a long time. Whereas now that Milo is famous, like nobody even looks at me. It's just it's just
right.
100%. They all run up and they're all like, "Is that Milo?"
You're just,
and Ellie and I have talked about this.
yeah,
all the
you're
time.
just
We're
the
like,
guy
"We don't
that
even know
carries
them."
around Milo. That's all you are now.
I know.
Yeah.
That's who I am. Yeah. it's kind of awesome, and I've come to terms with it.
Sure.
But yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, watching the music video, and you know, you're talking about music that you've made and getting these kinds of responses. I know the response for the music video was incredible. You know,
Mhm.
you got to be doing something right, that, you know, you're getting this many people interested in what you've got going on. I had the opportunity to go down to Provo, Utah, a few weeks ago, and they were having a movie
Festival.
Yeah, it was some sort of festival that the school was
Oh
putting on.
yes, yeah, yep, film festival.
And we didn't even know that you were in it. I mean, I was thinking when I was heading down there that it was just going to be like a Utah thing.
The Provo people.
Yeah, just those guys. Yep. And then they had submissions from, you know, other people and stuff. I think they might have had a submission from Idaho, and then we saw, oh, we got somebody from Hawaii. Wait, we know him. And hey, we know that baby. We know that guy. Yes. We know that guy that carries that baby.
Yes, exactly.
So
they're like, "What's he doing in this?"
Right.
Oh, okay. There's the baby.
Right.
There's the
baby. So, you know, we watched. What was that one called that you did?
So it's called Who Am I?
That's right.
But technically, if it had been made into a feature length film, it would have been called The Actor.
Okay.
Yeah, it was mainly called Who Am I for the purpose of not giving away to the audience
Gotcha.
that I'm an actor in the end. Yeah,
that's probably smart. Yeah, because when we were watching it and stuff, it was really cool. I loved but I was extremely confused about what was happening.
And it was very experimental for sure.
Right. And then we got to the end and it's like everything clicks and it's like, oh, okay. Wow. That was really cool.
Is a feature version of that short on the way, or did you decide it's a short or it's a feature?
So it's in my mind. The feature is definitely in my mind. I have a lot of the concept for it down. The world is definitely built pretty well in my mind. I haven't written it down because I haven't had much time to do that yet.
That's relatable.
Yeah.
I got this movie in my head, and that's where it's going to stay.
That's where it's going to stay. Yes. But yeah, the idea for it, because as you saw, it basically goes through, like, I'm trying to remember who I am as I'm having all these memories coming back to me. And like, as you're watching it, you're like, how are all these possible for one guy to have all these memories in like different languages and everything?
Yeah. How many languages did you have there?
I'm pretty sure it was 13. I remember we counted it up once, and I'm pretty sure it was 13.
Now,
total, if you include English.
Do you speak 13 languages?
Not fluently, no.
Okay.
Yeah, no. And there's quite a few in there that I don't speak at all that I just learned for that. But there are several in there. Like Mandarin, I speak a decent amount. Cantonese, I actually do speak because my wife is from Hong Kong.
Okay.
And then Spanish, I'm fluent in Spanish. Yeah. But there were lots of languages that I didn't put in there that I do speak.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I know one language just barely, and so if you know all those, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as far as the feature length version of it, the idea would be that that I actually have multiple personality disorder.
Is that for real?
So no, at least At least not according to the person you're talking to right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Who am I talking to right now?
Yeah. Can we talk to Hedwig, please?
I know.
Uh-oh. We just lost him.
Yeah.
I know.
You guys saw what was that movie? Split?
You do is so good.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
So good.
Yeah.
But I've seen clips of it. Yeah.
Oh, you need to. He did an amazing job.
Yeah.
Like, well, he wasn't acting
really
though.
So good.
That was just him.
They were just recording him.
Yes.
Follow him around with a camera.
Talk about method. Yeah. Talk about method. Yeah.
That's awesome. So music videos, you got some shorts. You're thinking about. Do you have more shorts that you're kind of working on or thinking about, or?
So at the moment, I have a few things that I'm kind of working towards. About a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, I just got this super strong like feeling or inclination, like I needed. It was super random. I was just talking to one of my friends that is a really good cinematographer, and I just really felt like music has this power to just bring people together and make people understand each other.
Right.
And it just can help you feel things that you wouldn't feel otherwise. And with all the different cultures that are here on BYU Hawaii campus, it's really had my thoughts drawn towards like all of the other cultures and how I've been able to listen to music from just all over the place and how that has helped me to love their country and love their language and love them more. So I started writing a TV show called The World of Music, and every episode would basically be in a country, and it would go deep into the music and background and culture of the ancestors of that country, and it would slowly show like the evolution of the music in that country until at the end we're working with modern artists. And then at the very end, we would help the modern artists to go back to their roots and write a modern song using the ancient instruments and rhythms of their people.
Yeah, right
that's a pretty cool concept.
Yeah. So we went to Mongolia, and I paid to fly out the cinematographer, and we shot the whole first episode. I haven't been able to edit it together yet, but it's really good. It doesn't have like a clear beginning, middle, and end yet because we didn't really have like a huge budget, so we had to like just be there and figure things out.
Find it in the edit, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like all the documentaries I've worked on.
Yeah. Like all the documentaries anybody's worked on.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Exactly.
It's like, oh wow, that was good that they said something good there. Can we just take that?
That's usually the downside of independent filmmaking or independent whatever. Yeah. You're looking at, how am I going to foot the cost of all of this?
Yeah. That limitation, though, usually ends up being a blessing because the lack of money really forces you to be creative and really kind of think outside the box. I think the more money you throw at a project, the creativity kind of has diminishing returns.
I don't know. Let's see. Somebody throw a bunch of money at me and let's see how I feel about it.
Yeah, let's exactly. Anybody that disagrees with that theory, please send us a
right.
Yeah, please call in our 1-800 number. Yeah.
Because I know what this side feels like. Let me go ahead and see what the other side feels like.
Yeah. I haven't done the money part yet. Let's give that a shot.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so how I really got started, a lot of people don't know some of this about me. So it's nice to have a place to talk about this because there are some things that I don't really say to people that I want to associate with. Mm-hmm. I guess if that makes sense. Just because like for example, I while I was in LA, I was able to work on sets with like Ariana Grande, Demi Lovato, Christian Bale, Josh
Shut
Lucas.
Up.
Yeah.
Did Christian Bale yell at you?
No, he didn't. He was actually super nice.
Oh, nice. That's great.
He was a really nice guy.
Then you had a stunt double then.
No, I will say something interesting with him is that when he's on set, he really tries to keep the emotions that his character is supposed to have. so it's really unfortunate, some of the videos that have gotten out about him, because if you look back on like the character he was playing, he was trying to be able to portray something like that, and to be in those emotions, and then to have somebody turn the light like really bright into their eyes. To me, like it's sad that he kind of like would yell at somebody like that. But I do know that he's not generally like that, unless there's like certain circumstances that put him in that.
I have always liked Christian Bale. And the reality is sometimes, when we watch people and we, they're really good actors and stuff, for some reason we stop thinking of them as people also.
Yeah.
And so anytime they act like you and me, they act like a person in a situation, we're like, wait a minute, what's wrong with you?
We're harsher on them than we're harsher on ourselves.
Yeah, it's really crazy, and he like for example, in the movie that I was on set with him with, it was Ford versus Ferrari, with Matt Damon as well.
Yes,
and like he's a father in that, and there's in this scene, the scene that I was just able to be a background on, but it was super fun to be there. I learned so much by being there.
You were there,
and I was there.
It's IMDb credit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And he was just like during all of the side times, I feel like normally I would expect him to be like very like serious, but what he was doing was he was spending all of the side time to make sure that he was a father to this other actor. So he was like doing the floss with him, and like literally, like I got to see Christian Bale like doing the floss with with this. Like it was the most random and weird thing. But by watching that, I just saw them actually being like a father and son. It was really beautiful to see.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and then Matt Damon, I got to sing "Happy Birthday" to him with the rest of the people on set, because he was working on his birthday. Really just crazy.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's really cool.
So that that floss, if you could have gotten a hold of that probably would have gone for a pretty penny on
yeah, and then they would have taken me. They would have taken me for a pretty penny, for sure.
That's true.
You get a free black van ride.
Yep.
Here's your hood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me see. What else did I want to ask you? Oh, I was wondering about other projects and stuff. Entering in your thing into some other competitions and stuff.
Yeah, I've really thought about that. I've looked into a lot of them. My original plan was to take like any money at all that I was able to win from that first film festival. I was planning on taking any money at all that I could get from that, and then putting it into other film festivals. And then if I got any from any of those, put that back in towards putting it into more. The sad thing is I didn't get anything on the first film festival. Wow. So now we're like, well, do we do it anyways? And we're thinking about it. We're thinking about doing it anyways. We probably
you surfing Film Freeway and all of those usual avenues. Yeah. I haven't submitted anything to them in a while.
Yep. Yeah, because it always costs money on Film Freeway, but I mean, one thing that I wanted to do was to submit it to at least get it into one film festival in each of the countries that I had done it in their language.
Okay.
And I think that would have been awesome to get it into one film festival in Mongolia, one film festival in the Philippines, and still thinking about that. But I think in order to do that, since it's 13 countries, minimum it's going to be at least 130, but it might be like, depending on how expensive some of them are, it'll be a lot more money. But I mean, not too bad. Yeah.
So my understanding is that your wife is still in school right now.
Yes.
And
finishing up.
She'll be graduating, and then you guys are going to be heading to Utah.
Yeah. Provo, Utah.
Right on.
Crazy. Not at all what we expected. We were going to be going back to Hong Kong. That was our original plan, but then we just randomly felt like we need to go to Utah for at least a couple of years.
Sure.
What's taking you out to Provo?
Is
it Alec?
Yes.
Hey, he's got connections out there now.
Yeah, and we're not entirely sure why we're heading out there yet. Well,
it was just a feeling, huh?
Yes, exactly. And we just know that following those feelings, and I feel like most people that I guess maybe not most, but a lot of people in the film industry, I think would understand that sometimes you just need to follow a few feelings that maybe don't make perfect sense, but that wind up working.
Right.
Yeah. So,
well,
like cinematic gold rush. You just had a feeling you were going to make your fortune. And so everybody packs up and tries to stake their claim.
The Boise area, Idaho, Utah, I mean, they're not huge for, making movies and stuff like that. But I think that there's a really good community of people that want to make films and they're excited about it. And I think that it's going to grow and get bigger. And so, I mean, maybe going there is going to be a boost for whatever you want to do.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason. So we recently, we're going to be going there and starting like a videography, photography business to try and be able to fund our passion projects that we want to do.
Okay.
But we also had a really cool idea for the summers, because when I started as an actor, just before I started, I actually, I went to a summer camp, a summer acting camp in Utah, and I learned so much. They flew in some people from LA, and they taught us like acting, singing, dancing, and I loved it. But we were really just paying for the experience and the knowledge.
Right.
So in the end, like when I actually came out to LA, I had to come to terms with the fact that like nobody's going to see your experience or your knowledge unless you have a resume and portfolio and reel,
or you have the contacts.
Yes, of course.
That's all. That's
true.
That's like 90% of it is the contacts.
Yes,
you can have an amazing reel, but if you can't get it to anybody, then I mean,
yes, yeah, definitely. So one thing that my wife and I want to do is, like, for example, in Utah, there are a few films that are produced, but they always outsource. They always bring in actors from other states, because nobody in Utah has a reel or portfolio or resume. Some of them might have some kind of connection, but not enough to get them big roles. So what we wanted to do was basically do acting camps where for 1 week we're training them to be able to do scenes for the camera, and then with the equipment that we have to actually shoot it 100% as if it was a movie, so that they actually get to act in a scene, especially a scene that they would like to be a part of. And then on Saturday of the end of the week, we would rent out a movie theater and invite all of their friends and families and the agents and casting directors of Utah to come and watch it on the big screen and watch each of them in their scenes. I'm hoping to be able to make the film industry a little bit more prominent in Utah through that, hopefully.
So this is like a summer camp for kids.
Yep.
Type of thing. Yeah, but it's a film summer camp.
Yes,
exactly. Come and learn about making movies.
Yes, make a movie.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a filmmaker here in Boise. We just had him on the show last night. His name is Cody Newton, and he I lost my train of thought. He does that exact same thing where people come to him and they want to film these reels. So he writes them a quick little short film, and it's just this thing to, showcase their acting ability. They're the star.
Yes.
And then he, releases these things, and they get to keep the video as their reel, and they can use that for auditions. And that's a really great way to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So, and it'll be great because when we do it in that way, where we can have 20 kids in a summer camp all together, it makes it really affordable for all for all of them because
right.
it's 20 of them.
Right.
Like it's not two people coming to me and being like, hey, can you make this for me? And then me being like, well, that's like 3 or 4 days of work, and I charge $1,000 a day or $2,000 a day or more, depending on the like exactly how much you're needing me to do. Whereas if you have 20 kids doing it, like you can make it super affordable for them, like $500 for the whole week per kid.
Yeah.
And
well, that's the whole, I mean, that's the whole point of doing the community thing is you want to involve as many kids as you can. It can't be so far out of everybody's reach that, you know, only 1 or 2 people can do it.
Exactly. Yep.
So before we get off onto the Duffer Brothers, and if I had known that you were in a movie with Christian Bale, we probably would have talked about that one.
That's true. That's true. I should have. That's true. Yeah.
Did your scene make the final cut? Are you able to see yourself?
Yeah, you can see me a couple of times. I mean, it's really just in the background. Although I will say there is one moment in there where you actually, it was like, I mean, I didn't know the scene hardly at all. I just like stood where they asked me to stand and did my best to blend into the background, to really just play my part. And the people that placed me totally placed me on both sides of the conversation.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you look really closely, there's times in this $110 million budget film where you see me on both sides.
Right.
So
just teleporting.
And in one shot you're behind Bale, and in the other shot you're behind Matt Damon.
something like that. Yeah,
that's pretty great.
And I mean, it's not. I don't think anybody else would notice it. It's just because I was in it. But still, it's just funny to me to be like, oh, hey, I like that. When I first saw myself, I'm like, hey, that's me. And then they switch over to the other side. I'm like, oh shoot, that's me.
That's me. and I'd be like every time I saw you, I'd be like, hey, there's the guy that carries the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Yep. Didn't do that back then, but
so tell everybody. Anybody that wants to look you up or find some of your videos or listen to some of your music or anything that you've got going on, where can they find you?
Yeah, so if you Google Dallin McKay, pretty much everything will come up right there. Google has made a I forget what those are called, like a knowledge panel. I think that's what they call it. A knowledge panel of me, kind of like just anybody that you would look up, how it just shows like lots of pictures of them and then has different tabs like music and movies and whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you just look up Dallin McKay on Google, pretty much everything will be right there. You won't see some of the stuff just because I worked on lots and lots and lots of music videos in LA, and music videos normally aren't on IMDb. So I've got lots of stuff that I worked on that won't be on there. But other than that, you'll see most of the stuff there. Yeah.
Nice. So let's talk about the Duffer Brothers and Stranger Things.
All right. Cool. I'm excited.
So we've got Matt Duffer, born February 15th, 1984 in Durham, North Carolina. And then we've got his brother, Ross Duffer, who was born on February 15th, 1984 in Durham, North Carolina. They're twins.
Oh,
so
I was
I didn't know that.
I was like, wait a second, what? They were both born in 84?
They were twins. That's crazy.
Yeah, they are twins. And I worked really, really hard scouring the internet trying to figure out who came first. And there's nothing.
Dang it.
Yeah. So they were born at the exact same time, evidently.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought that it was just like the parents only wanted to celebrate one birthday, so they made him share one.
We know you were born 6 years later, but we're gonna celebrate one birthday here. Yeah, no. So I thought that was pretty cool. When I was looking up their birth dates, it's like, wait a minute, they're okay. Oh, they're twins. Oh, okay, that makes sense now. Yeah. So mother Ann M. Christensen, she's a part-time real estate broker, and their father Alan P. Duffer Jr. is a film buff and a research, I didn't know what this was, a Research Triangle Institute project director. I didn't look it up, but it was a mouthful of, I don't know what that means.
It was like a made up name. No, I'm just kidding.
It sounds like something you put on your resume to help you get other jobs.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not a real thing, but it sounds like a real thing. So
I can break that down to janitor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Congratulations. You're now the highest paid janitor in the United States of America.
Right. So yeah.
That's awesome.
And this was kind of cool. They actually started making films together. What I read about them is they pretty much did everything together. They went to school together. They went to college together. They made films together. They did everything together. And, but they started all the way back in the 3rd grade. They got, I don't know what this is, Tabor, and maybe you know, Dallin, an Hi8 video camera.
Yeah. It's a high 8. It's a 8mm.
Yeah. Hi8.
Yeah. So I believe it's a super 8mm. So it's the one that had the 8mm cartridges.
Okay.
Rather than the 8mm reels. And those were a lot easier to get a hold of for beginning filmmakers. And they were easier to work with because you just put the cassette in the thing and you could start rolling. The ones with the reels were kind of harder, and there was more parts that it was not, easy barrier of entry. So when they switched to Super 8, that a ton of people got their start on Super 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just it made the whole thing easier.
Oh my gosh, way easier. Yeah.
Oh.
Nice. You've never used one of those cameras?
I have a regular 8mm camera because the Super 8mm were made with plastic, and that's why you can get them for so cheap, is because they anyone could go get one. But there's hardly any surviving Super 8 cameras unless someone has found some and restored them.
Oh, really?
But the regular 8mm cameras are absolute hunky metal beasts, and they're almost impossible to break. So you can find regular 8mm almost anywhere. Go to a pawn shop, find an 8mm camera. But the Super 8, they're a little harder to find now.
Yeah. Well, the other thing you have to be able to do, if you have the cameras, you got to be able to get the film.
Yeah. I know that Kodak is releasing, I don't know if they've started yet, but they are releasing a brand new Super 8 camera that you can buy from them. But it is super expensive to get one. It's not as easy to get as they were back in the 70s and the 80s.
Right.
And at that point, you might as well just go buy yourself a Blackmagic and shoot on that.
Yeah.
Because then you just need the hard drive space, and you don't need to buy all the 8mm film. So if the price comes down, you might get more people shooting on 8mm again, but it's more expensive. You got to pay for the film. It's harder to edit on now because we don't have the editing tables like we used to.
Right.
And so we'll see if it picks up. It might not, but it'd be cool if it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they both graduated. They both went to college at the same time. Both graduated Chapman University Dodge College of Film and Media Arts in Orange, California in 2007. So they got that Hi8 video camera, and it sounds like they just took off. They just went crazy.
Yeah.
So what do you know a lot about the Duffer Brothers, Dallin?
I actually don't know much about the Duffer Brothers themselves. I know that, like, as far as how it seems, based on, like, because I watch a lot more of like what the actors will say about them rather than them themselves. But all of them seem to really like anytime they talk about them, they always talk about them less like a boss and more like a friend, which is kind of cool. It's cool to see that.
So
I know that a lot of what they wrote were really talking about like their own like their personal struggles,
experiences that they had.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And speaking of which, throughout the series, they really address like a lot of real world problems and issues or just things that people deal with. I feel like in ways that are really nice because they're subtle, not in your face. It's just part of the story. It's just, and it really makes it feel even more real because they do it that way.
Right.
A lot of movies nowadays make it so in your face that it stops feeling like a real situation that people actually deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Stranger Things series? Is that the one you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did notice. I've seen all of them. I can't. Maybe I can't say that. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Is there a fifth one?
Fifth season, it's on its way.
Okay.
So on its way.
Okay.
It's like the dragons for Game of Thrones. I promise they're coming. You know, you don't have to keep asking. It is on its way.
Hold your breath. Hold your breath.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I've seen all of them, and I enjoyed Stranger Things, all of the episodes, all the series. But one thing I noticed was, even though they're doing stuff with this supernatural stuff and fighting Gorgonites and whatever they've got going on, aside from that, in between that, you're seeing a lot of like human interaction and struggles and all of these types of things. It's not just about crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In between the monsters, you're getting Bob Newby superhero.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know what that means, but yes.
Sean Astin, remember?
Yeah, Sean Astin.
In season 2.
Oh, that's right, he was.
Yeah.
So
good old Bob.
Yeah, I loved him. He was a great character. So
he did such a good job.
Let me run through the series again, see if I remember it correctly, because it's been a bit, and I think my dad could use a refresher also. So season 1 is the vanishing of Will Byers. Will Byers goes missing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Season 2, Will Byers is back, but he is being controlled by the Mind Flayer, and that's where all the demodogs are.
Yes.
Season 3 is the one that takes place in the mall.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
season 3 is
Yeah. And then season 4 is the one that takes place in the Russian prison.
Yes.
Okay. And where are the Gorgonites? Where do they come in?
They're peppered throughout the show.
I love those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, you got
I made a new character for
the Gorgonite. Well,
for season 5, in case the Duffer Brothers are listening, I'd like to see some Gorgonites.
The Gorgonites from Small Soldiers.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, is that where I got that?
That's what it's from. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember Phil Hartman in that movie where he comes out with his little white flag? He goes, I'm surrendering for the Gorgonzolas or whatever they're called. Yeah.
Gorgonites, Gorgonzolas, whatever.
Yeah.
So walk us through Stranger Things. It sounded like when I talked to you on the phone that you were kind of a aficionado of Stranger Things, so
I really like for me, one thing that I love to see is when directors are willing to do things that nobody else is willing to do. Anytime that I see something like that, like for example, in season 3, where like all of a sudden there's like this just singing part where it's Dustin and his girlfriend just suddenly singing to each other, and it's like the most crazy time in the whole in all of the series.
Right.
Yeah, never ending story.
I'll tell you what, I absolutely loved that.
Yeah.
I know. I liked the song.
Yeah.
I loved having those two sing. In fact, what I did was I made a list of, characters and stuff, and I put Gabriella Pizzolo.
Gabriel?
I've got Gabriella. Susie Bingham, Dustin's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Susie. Yep.
Because I thought she's such a cool character. I love that they put her in there. So
yeah, and then of course people like us had a good laugh because she was Mormon. So
she was.
Yeah. And her house has like 10 kids running around up and down the stairs destroying things and
right.
Yeah.
So that was fun. That was fun.
I loved it. I related to so much of it. Yeah. And then another thing that I love is that it seems like they're always leaving room for improvisation. They seem to actually be fans of D&D. Like you can tell that throughout the whole thing that the Duffer Brothers are fans of D&D, which is all about like discovery and improvisation as you're going.
When I was growing up, we called them nerds.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but being a nerd is cool now. You're allowed to be a nerd, and you kind of have diplomatic immunity. You can't be beat up for it anymore. So,
the nerds make all the money too. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like for example, this is just as far as I know. The Steve Harrington, who is one of the most beloved characters of Stranger Things. He was just meant to be the D-bag like character, like just the boyfriend that everybody kind of hates.
The 1980s bully stereotype that every 80s movie, every 80s TV show had.
Yes, exactly. Like that's what he was meant to be. And then because of his performance, especially during that moment where he kind of has that arc where he changes a little bit, as far as I understand, that arc wasn't supposed to be as complete as it was. And now he's just like, he's deep in their lore completely. Like he's now like a legend.
He's one of those off limits characters.
Yeah.
That if you do anything to Steve, we're done with the show.
Right.
It is over. We're canceling Netflix.
Right.
Yeah. And I just think that's so cool. Another really cool one that unfortunately didn't turn out to be a off limits character was Bob. Like most people don't know this, but Bob was also written to be a very specific way, which if you watch season 2, episode 1, you see him as just being like this fling that she has. And you see him definitely playing it like at first. It's definitely written in a way where it's a little bit, he doesn't seem like that nice of a guy to most people at first. And that's just because that's what he was written to be for the first episode. But then the way that they saw him perform the first episode and how he still brought a little bit of this niceness to him that you actually kind of still liked, they ran with that and then wrote him into the whole thing like that. Really cool to see something like that.
Bob got killed off, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
For anyone who
not off limits.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Oh, spoiler alert. Sorry about that.
I will say that if you're listening to a podcast about Stranger Things, that you have had to have already watched Stranger Things.
That's true.
You're doing this to yourself if you're listening to this before you watch Stranger Things. So that's on you. Okay?
So Bob was written in as the fling, but the mom, Winona Ryder, right? That's the mom.
Yes.
Joyce Byers. You know, she is not supposed to be. She's not supposed to have happiness, I think, in her life. She's not supposed to, if she would have been with Bob and it would have been an ongoing thing and he brought, happiness and joy into her life and then it would have turned into this rainbow type thing. I don't think that's who she was supposed to be. She was the stressed out mom who was unhappy and tormented. And so Bob would have screwed that up.
So speaking of Bob, I watched a video essay on YouTube the other day about how Stranger Things has an expendable problem where every season they introduce a new character that you get attached to, and that it's such a pattern that when you watch the first episode of a new season, you can go, that's the guy that dies.
He's dead.
That they don't, that they do not have the guts to kill a main character. So they introduce you to these flavors of the week that you grow really attached to.
Sure.
And then they kill him off. So Bob was season 2. Alexei was season 3. And Eddie was season 4. And the thing is we're on the last season now.
Yes.
So now we can't introduce a new character and they survive season 5.
No.
So any new characters that are introduced in season 5, they have to die.
So hold on one second. Who is Eddie?
So he was the guitarist, the guy that played Dungeons and Dragons. He was from Hellfire Club.
Okay.
And everyone thought he was like a Satanist, so they chased him out of town.
Okay. Because I know that
his performance was so good.
He was incredible.
Yeah, he was so good. He was so strange and weird, but he played it really like true to character. I loved it so much. It was really, really good.
And that performance has netted him quite a few more roles that he's getting a lot of work now. Like he was just in that new Quiet Place Day One, I think it's what it is.
I haven't seen that.
He's like the main character in
oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
So one of the other characters that I know that they killed off, Sadie Sink was Max Mayfield, and her brother, I think, was Billy Hargrove.
Yes.
Yeah. And they ended up killing off Billy also. But that was a very touching, I think that didn't they do it in a way that like those two kind of connected eyes and you could feel this love and then he's saving her.
Yeah. So the video said that Billy was kind of done a little better because you got 2 seasons with Billy. Yeah. But Billy was more of a 2-dimensional character in season 2 and then became a 3-dimensional character in season 3.
Yeah, he definitely changed.
And there's a reason for that too. Because season 1 he was written to be the big brother that's a bully, like to kind of address that issue, but they didn't think that he would be so good that they'd want to have him as a main character. So as far as I understand, it was because of his performance that they actually wound up writing him as one of the main characters. Yeah. Which I love that. Like that's the coolest thing to me when directors like aren't quite like they always leave room for improvement. Like that is so cool to me when they're like, yes, let's run with that. Like
there's so many happy accidents on set that are just absolutely amazing. Like I wrote a short and I wrote it for one actor who I use all the time. And for some reason, when it was time to shoot this thing, I guess he was going through a hard time and I could not get him to return any of my calls or any of my texts. And so we had this guy who was just kind of waiting in the wings. And I don't even think I was going to have him act. I think he was going to help me with like some sound stuff or whatever. He was
your Harrison Ford.
Yes, he was my Harrison Ford. Exactly. And then he Han Solo'd his way into the short film. And he actually did an incredible job. I think his performance was exactly what this short film needed. And it wasn't what was in my head originally.
Who are we talking about?
We're talking about John Updike in Charming Encounter.
Okay.
Originally, it was supposed to be Christian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, from the Takashi Yamazaki episode, for those of you who are joining us from a previous episode. But yeah, awesome. There's so many happy accidents that just you're not expecting you're expecting something to go one way. And then it doesn't, and you're kind of bummed by it, or maybe you're not even bummed by it, but there's just this thing that just blossoms out of the uncertainty and it just turns into something phenomenal. And so I love hearing those stories in like interviews and commentary, because now as a filmmaker, I have had those experiences and I'm like, yes, I know exactly what that feels like. And it's fun that I can relate to it now,
Yeah. And I'm so glad, like, to me, with the Duffer Brothers, what that means to me, the fact that they're still able to do this is that they don't have somebody breathing down their shoulder, or 50 people breathing down their shoulder all the time.
Yeah, that's a problem.
They've gained this respect to be able to actually do stuff. Like the fact that even in Stranger Things 3, they were able to do something that I'm like, I guarantee you, if they threw that idea at anybody,
some executive would have been like, cut that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, 100%. And to me, that's really cool. That's kind of like what we were talking about with the money thing, that like, yeah, if you threw all this money at something, suddenly the creativity normally goes away. But I think the beauty of this one is the fact that, so something that I'll wind up talking about with this is that I think they had a lot more written of this TV show than just the first season when they did the first season.
Okay.
like tons more. So going back to episode 1, and this is something that nobody would ever see or recognize unless you're watching season 1, episode 1, right after watching season 4. So I would totally recommend that to anybody that hasn't done it. Go back, watch season 4, and then watch the first episode of season 1. There's this moment where Will Byers is riding home on his bike. I'm sure you guys kind of remember a little bit. And then what is it that makes him fall off the road? Like what is it that makes him fall down in the woods?
Gosh, wasn't it like the shadow of the Demogorgon came sprinting by? If I'm remembering.
Well, that's the thing. There was a shadow, but if you look really closely at it, it's definitely not the Demogorgon.
Is it a Gorgonite?
It was a Gorgonite.
It was a wheel of Gorgonzola that just came.
No, so if you look really closely, one of its hands is totally normal and the other one is clawed.
So what are you thinking here? What do you?
So Vecna, it looks exactly identical to Vecna.
Interesting.
To the main villain of season 4, which we're finding out is the main reason that all these things are happening. But the crazy thing with that is that Will Byers sees this and then falls down. And as soon as he falls down in the woods, you hear a grandfather clock.
I'm going to have to go back. I'm going to have to go back, and that's crazy. Really?
This is season 1, episode 1. You totally see something that clearly is not the Demogorgon, has a clawed hand on one side. You could probably find a shot. I saw one the other day. It was because I'm rewatching season 4 with my wife, and there's this moment with Nancy where Vecna's like showing Nancy what happened to him, and then tells her to take a seat. And then she's tied up in the chair, getting like where he got his number 1 tattoo on his arm. But in that, you see him super clearly the way that he's standing,
right?
And like I can almost guarantee you, if you took that shot and you put it right next to the shot with the shadow, identical.
Huh? Interesting.
Yep.
So they had that character in mind right off the bat from the very first season, first episode.
Potentially.
That he was going to be a future whatever he is, but they already had him planned out.
Yep.
So I had also heard that before they started reading the scripts and they started seeing, oh, this is going to be huge. This is going to be very big. But before like everyone picked up on how big this was going to be, they did have multiple seasons in mind, but it was supposed to be something new every season. And so,
oh yeah, like different characters.
So season 1 was going to end with Will Byers throwing up that slug into the sink. And then that's how it was going to end. You weren't going to get some sort of, nicely wrapped present.
Oh,
it was going to be, it just ends on this spooky, scary cliffhanger, kind of like the Twilight Zone.
And then the next season they would go on to something completely different.
Like brand new characters. Yeah.
New story.
Kind of like American Horror Story, I think. I think American Horror Story sometimes does a little bit of that.
Yes, they do that. They did that quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then after maybe 6 or 7 seasons, everything kind of started blending together in some kind of way, but yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which, for American Horror Story, I apparently looked like one of the kind of main characters for one of the seasons. So they would pay me to come in to basically take the pictures with me, so that they could get the lighting exactly perfect, get everything exactly how they want it.
Okay.
And then afterwards they would bring in the guy that looks a little bit like me, and then they would take the one picture with him and pay him for like a half an hour of his time rather than paying him for the 6 hours that they paid me $300 for.
I gotcha. Oh, how interesting. Huh. Yep. So what other little interesting things do you have about Stranger Things?
Oh, yeah. So one thing that I really liked that I noticed this time more than anything was, like, for example, especially in season 4, like they're really addressing, like technically addressing like suicide to some extent, like suicide and depression. Because at the beginning, they're showing all of these signs of like her, like not really wanting to talk to anybody, separating herself from everybody. And then the fact that Vecna kind of curses her, and then that she the only way for her to kind of find her way back is to find the happy moments and remember them, and that all of the people, her friends, like she needs to talk to them, she needs to open up to them in order to stay. And I just think that's so cool that they find ways to address issues like that,
Right.
in just real ways that still 100% add to the story. So it really kept it really, I don't know, they were able to address a lot of stuff really
Right.
well.
You know, we talked about Godzilla Minus One in one of our shows.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we really noticed about it, and I think you can really notice in a lot of movies, is in this or in Godzilla Minus One or really whatever I'm talking about, there is the story of the monster or whatever's going on, but then there's the story of these human relationships and stuff. And so a lot of times when I'm watching like Stranger Things or I'm watching a show, and these are kids, they've gone through all these seasons together. I'm kind of watching Stand By Me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm watching these relationships develop and the camaraderie that they have. And that's kind of what I get sucked into on the stories is kind of these relationships. And there's also monsters.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
It's funny because we talked about Stand By Me on the previous episode too.
Yes.
So it goes
full circle.
Full circle. Yeah. You know who we've not talked about yet is Rooney from Ferris Bueller.
Was he in Stranger Things?
He was originally cast as Vecna. And then
Whoa.
No, I'm just messing with you. That's not
okay.
No. He was one of the Gorgonzolas.
I was like, what?
They were just like, yeah, the Vecna's kidnapping kids, and that's not a good look. So we're gonna have to let you go, Rooney.
Yeah.
But we don't really talk about Rooney.
Yeah, no, we don't talk about Rooney.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
But what is your favorite season out of the 4 so far?
So far, definitely. Man, that's hard. So I would say, as far as like lore goes and just how rich it is, I really like season 4 a lot. But as far as like personally, how much that I liked it, as far as how it was shot, how it was done, everything, I really like season 1. Season 1, like they did it on such a budget, and it was just beautiful. Like really just done so well. One thing that I will say,
season 1 was also like fresh and new, and you had no idea.
Yep.
The other seasons, you kind of had an idea of maybe what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And that was another thing too that I think is really cool about them, is that once they got the bigger budget, like they didn't just like give us the same thing after that, which is really nice. I feel like for example, Stranger Things 3, season 3, they definitely had a huge budget for that. And you can see it in their shots. Like they really decided to take that and figure out, okay, what can we do that's like that most people don't do? Like a lot of their shots, the transitions that they do, really, really cool, like stuff that I feel like a lot of people don't really think about or don't really try to do.
Right.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's really hard to do super stylistic shots and do it in a way that still feels real. Like that still that doesn't take
it can pull you out of it.
Yeah.
Because if you're thinking about the camera shot, then you're not thinking about the movie anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think they just did a really good job of that. Like for example, so good. Okay. So
he's excited.
Yeah.
So good. Stranger Things season 3, where there's basically people starting to be controlled by the mind flare, I guess.
It's called marriage.
And yes. But do you guys remember the moment where like their boss, we just barely saw that Billy and like the other lifeguard girl like hit her parents and then take them
over the
and
head
then they
with
get
the wine
controlled.
bottle.
Yeah. And then right after that, then you see Nancy and Jonathan like sitting outside of an office, and then he comes out with like the bandage on his head. Do you guys remember this moment?
Yeah,
kind of.
Bit? Yeah. So the crazy thing about that is that he brings them in, and you can tell that he's like a little bit weird, a little bit off. But then there's one moment where he just suddenly snaps and he gets super mad at them. And when he does that, he like hits the desk next to him. And when that happens, right as he hits the desk, the camera goes Dutch angle. And most people don't even notice it. Most people don't even notice it. But then the rest of the scene is Dutch angle until at the very end he tells them you're fired, and then he adjusts his papers, and when he adjusts his papers,
the camera goes back to normal. Oh, that's so cool. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that.
So good.
So
good.
I know what Dutch angle is, but I want you to explain it to me like I'm a 3-year-old.
Yes. So basically it goes normally it's something moderately close to a 45-degree angle. So like rather than being like straight or rather than being horizontal, it's like right in between the two. But in this case, it was just a slight Dutch angle. They turned it probably like, I don't know, 20 degrees, but it was just so cool.
Okay.
Like, and something that like nobody notices, but what they do notice is how it feels. Like when you're watching it, you feel like, oh, this is like wrong. Like something's off.
Yeah, because the Dutch angle is designed to make you feel uneasy,
unnatural.
Because you're used to looking at something in a certain way. And then what ends up happening is that Dutch angle makes you feel almost, it's kind of like a funhouse mirror.
Yeah.
You're not looking at things normally anymore. And that's why.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, just out of curiosity, a couple of characters that you really liked. And one thing I'm kind of curious about is, what character did you really see kind of the most change in,
Ooh. I personally would say Steve.
Most change in Steve?
Yeah, the most change in Steve, especially from the first season into the second season. That was the biggest change. But from there, I guess he doesn't necessarily change too much from there on out. So, but I would probably say Steve. I think that's probably what I would go with. Although, as far as acting abilities, I would have to say Will.
Byers.
Yeah, he stepped up his game.
Yes, he did. And I thought that was so beautiful. I thought it was really cool because
he's off camera for the first season.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then second season, you see that you can see that he really was cast to be somebody that was kind of off camera. But then coming season 3, you see a little bit, and you still see that he has a few things that are like still kind of difficult for him as an actor. And he was cast really young, so it's really hard. But then like season 4, especially, like they really start to, I feel like he starts to grasp some of the mental preparation that goes into acting. And he just plays it really, really well. Like, especially some of the inner workings, like, cause you see in season 1 that his mom says to Hopper when he's missing, like, he's not like other boys. And Hopper is like, what do you mean he's not like other boys? And then he's like, they call him a queer. And he's like, well, is he? And then she's like, that's besides the point. But then later Yeah, but then later there's this moment with
Mike.
With Mike, right? Yeah, and that was beautifully lit, where it's them standing with the rain behind them. It's like the lighting in that is just beautiful. But there's that moment there where he's like, "It's not my fault that you don't like girls." And yeah, like I just feel like in season 4, there's that moment where he's talking to Mike and gives him a gift that he clearly prepared, and then he talks to Mike, giving him advice as far as how 11 would feel. But anybody watching it can start to see that he's talking about himself. That he's really saying if she didn't want to if she didn't want to be with you, or didn't think that things would work out between you guys, she'd want it quick, like a band-aid. She'd want to rip it off quick. So yeah, I think she needs you.
Right.
And it's very clear that he's saying like I would want it quick. I relate to her. So this is me tearing off the Band-Aid. And I just thought that was so beautiful. Like, I really think that he played that really well.
So those are the characters that you felt like had the most change. So what is the character that you just absolutely loved? Just throughout the whole thing, you loved that character.
I love Dustin.
Yeah.
Dustin.
Dustin's fun. He's a fun little guy.
He is. Yeah. He's just like from the very beginning. And there's things that he does, especially getting towards seasons 3 and 4. There's things that he does that, like, that he, as a normal person, doesn't act like that. But there's nothing not believable about what he's doing. Like, it's totally believable. Like his laugh, his quirky laugh that he brings in on season 4, where he's just like super high pitched, like laugh that he does.
Right.
But it just makes you love him because people like that.
Right.
Yeah, he's such a cute little guy. I think he's easily one of my favorites. And like his little his little toothless smile in the first couple seasons, that's always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really liked the Steve Harrington character through the whole thing. I just even when he was a jerk in the beginning, for some reason I still liked him.
See, Steve and Dustin are my 2 favorite characters, and it was so smart to team them up together. It's always Steve and Dustin on some sort of adventure, and that was always a fun.
And the other character, and I don't know why I liked him so much, and he wasn't in the beginning seasons that I can remember, but Matthew Modine as Papa.
He was in the first season.
Oh wow!
Was he?
Yeah. He was the bad guy in the first season.
I can't remember.
Yep.
Isn't he in like the later ones?
Yeah.
Also,
he comes back in season 4 for sure.
Yeah, with a big scar on his face.
Yeah, but I don't think he's in 3. So I think he's in season 1 and season 4.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there's this super weird moment in season 2. That's another thing that I'm grateful for, is that the Duffer Brothers were totally able to like see when something isn't working and be like, yeah, let's not do that.
Abandon ship. And I know exactly what you're talking about. It's that storyline with what is her name? Number 8?
Yeah.
And her little band of punk rock misfits. And they had one episode with them, and they were like, yeah, okay, we're not doing that.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
A lot of people did.
It just wasn't good. It was not good. But like,
it was Dragon Ball Z filler.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, because they were willing to drop it, which big corporates normally aren't. They're like, we're making money anyways, regardless of if people like it or not. They're still watching it.
Right.
But that's another moment where you can see that these people don't have 50 people breathing down their necks. Like, they're really just trying to create the best thing that they can.
So we want to talk about anything else on the Stranger Things, or what do we got?
So almost every episode of the show, we try to rank the movie or the TV show that we're watching, but we haven't.
Yes.
But we haven't really come up with some unified system of ranking.
Well, every ranking for every show has been something completely different.
Yeah. So like,
I think one time we had like 0 to 100
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, like on a scale of 0 to 100, Ryan Reynolds. So I guess like on a scale of 0 to 10 of Dustin's teeth.
I'm not positive he had 10 teeth.
Well, he got more. True. He got more as the show got better.
Okay.
See, you notice how that works? Yeah. How would you rank each season?
On a 0 to 10 of Dustin's teeth.
Of Dustin's teeth, how many teeth would you give season 1?
Season 1, I would give. I'd definitely give season 1 a good like 8 and a chipped tooth.
You just had to add a little flair, didn't you?
Jim Carrey's Dumb and Dumber tooth.
Yes. It needs that though, because season 4 is going to be coming up, and it's not quite as good as that chipped tooth, but it's up there.
All right. I would give, I would give season 1 9 teeth. 9 Dustin teeth.
9 Dustin teeth.
Yeah. Nice. Solid teeth.
Yeah. No chips.
So season 2. I'm just gonna give one ranking, and it's gonna be for the whole thing.
The entire thing.
I'm not doing that.
Okay, season 2. What do we got?
Season 2. Mainly because of that spinoff. That spinoff takes away 3 teeth easy.
Ooh,
they knocked that out big time. Because they basically spent a solid 3 episodes trying to
set that up.
No bueno.
Trying to create something that wasn't going to go.
Yeah, so I would have to say for them 5.5 teeth. And so let's give it 6 teeth. Let's give it 6 teeth because there were some beautiful moments in it. But I felt like almost all of the beautiful moments were in the last 3 episodes, which is sad.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I would give season 2 6 teeth.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Season 3.
Sad.
Starcourt.
Season 3, I really loved this was one of the first times where they went with the double storyline, and it just worked so well. That was when they discovered wow, people really like this double storyline of one being very real with the Russians, and then one being very
fantastical.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very very upside down. So I would say on this one, I'd probably give it 8 teeth. Maybe 7 and a chip. But
I'd give this one 7, and one of the teeth has a filling in it.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of Steve Harrington.
Yeah, Steve Harrington. Oh, and Robin. Steve Harrington. I love Robin. We haven't talked about Robin. She's great. I freaking love her.
She is great. Yeah.
And
I kind of feel like you guys want to be dentists or something.
Yeah.
Now we got fillings in it.
Yeah. And then season 4.
Season 4, I'd definitely give a solid 8. I'd give it an 8 for sure.
I think I would give it
pretty good.
A 7.5 or an 8. Probably an 8. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty solid. I think the main reason why I loved it so much was just how much of real life that they brought into it, and then also I felt like everything that happened in the Russian prison was also really cool. Complete opposite sides of the world, but they made it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really good stuff. Season 4 was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, if you're going to do your entire season ranking.
All the seasons all together. So, I think overall, even though one of them struggled a little bit, I think the character development and just the story, pushing through all the way through, was just phenomenal. And it was just genius, and especially when you're bringing up the thing about season 1, and they've already got something in season 1 that they've already planned for season 4. I mean, my gosh, who thinks like that?
I know.
So I'm going to give it 9.5 Gorgonites.
Oh, he's
honestly
deviating from the.
Yeah, I'm not doing chief.
Organized. I would totally agree with that. Like, which is crazy because none of the individual seasons on their own to me felt like even a 9, but putting them all together in the way that they did it, I would agree with that.
Bigger picture,
right?
Yes.
Well, that's what dads do. I mean, we look at the bigger picture. So.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Awesome.
Dallin, thank you very much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you guys.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. And for everybody that's listening to this podcast right now, even though it's not live, when you're listening to it, look up Dallin McKay. He has some awesome stuff going on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there anything on our Facebook page that you'd like us to post to kind of give you like a little shout out?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I could send you guys the short film that I did.
Yeah, okay.
I think that'd be great. That'd be awesome.
I mean, you probably have more fans than us, so
what I need you to do is I need you to stick us on your Facebook page.
do the opposite.
Yeah, I could definitely do that.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll send us a link to your short. We'd love to post it on our thing, and
awesome.
Yeah, send us your headshot too, so we can post it on.
Yeah, I like to put a picture up of the people that have been on. So.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah, I can do that for sure. My wife just barely took new headshots for me.
And if you want to send a picture of your wife and your baby, I can crop you and your wife out, and I'll just have a picture of the baby, and that'll be fine.
Let's be honest, the baby's the star. Yeah, I'm glad
I tried to book the baby tonight, and Dallin wouldn't give him the phone. So,
well, everyone knows that everyone's going to be listening to that one moment where we hear "ma, mama,"
right. That was the highlight.
Yeah. Well, we also got our cats saying "mama" too. So
I don't care about our cats.
Yeah. All right. Well, we really appreciate you coming on. And
thank you.
We definitely love to have you come back. This has been an absolute treat.
Yeah. Well, now I'm going to need you to come on and talk about what was that movie?
Ford v Ferrari.
Oh, Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah. I mean, now we have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have some insider stuff, and that's what I want.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to My Dad's Movie Podcast. We had a lot of fun creating it, and we hope you enjoyed it.
For more content, please check us out at Facebook and YouTube at My Dad's Movie Podcast, or visit our website, mydadsmoviepodcast.com.
And always, if you'd like to help support us, please check out our Patreon at My Dad's Movie Podcast.
Thanks for listening, everybody. All right,
yeah,
cool.
That'd be great.
Well, thank you very much, and we ready to?
Yes, thank you.
To outro out of here.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
And we're gone.
All right. Sweet.
Thanks, Dallin.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Yeah, have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.